Hello everyone. So this is our contract, gas agency, and this contract behaves as a real gas station. And suppose that you have to pay for your gas fees, and gas station is offering a card which offers a subsidy only for the card owners. So if you pay with that card using that card, so you will get the subsidy. Otherwise, you have to pay in full, uh, the full amount. So it is compiling perfectly, and let's deploy this contract to Goldly network. Okay, this gas agency gives you a card with a random card number, and that random card number is a verified random number because we are using VRF, Chainlink's VRF, uh, to get that card number. So let's add this contract as a consumer to our subscription. Add consumer. Confirm. So as you can see, as per user perspective, uh, these two functions are very important because they can either pay for gas normally or with a card number, and if that is a valid card, they will get the discount. Otherwise, the transaction will be reverted. There is one more function. So how does user gets the card? It requests for card actually for the uh, let's say I am a user and I want to get that privilege to get subsidy, so I can request for a card to this gas agency, and if they want they can approve my card. So the transaction has gone through. So let's uh, yes, let's say my name is this, and okay, when I deployed the contract, I actually let me show you the constructor. The constructor also takes a gas station, and this gas station is nothing but the address to which the amounts will be directed. So I use this account as the gas station, so I'm not going to use that as this user, so I'm going to use second account. Request for card. This request for card function, let me show you. This request for card function, what it does is that it behaves as this request random words function, and it just initiates the request, and we have fulfill random words as we also have fulfill random words. And according to chainlink, we cannot modify this function at all. Only the only if you want to, like, let me show you this fulfill random words function. It is updating the current card number global variable, and this current card number will be appended to to appended as the card number for new card issued. Let's say if gas agency wants to issue a card, so they will check this current card number and they will just append this card number to the user. So there's okay. Let's see current card number gets updated or not. Actually, it takes some times to. go through. After updating the current card number variable, we can easily give it to users. So let's wait for some time. So how does so eh, another thing for the gas agency is that how does gas agency approves for the card? So there's a mapping of request object. So whenever we send the request for the card, we create this request object, and it is mapped to a certain ID. So we give that ID to this function as the parameter, and that function processes the request, and that request also contains a name and the user. So upon processing the request, it takes that user address and links it to a card number. Let me show you the card object also. So card object has the card number, a 12-digit random card number, a user, as I have said just now, that a user is associated, an address is associated with that card number, a name, in our case it will be Bob and this address, and valid. Okay, so if gas agency wants to revoke the card validity of someone, like if Bob is now rich, or like the gas agency don't want to offer him the privilege to for the discount, so they can just uh, invoke the validity of the card, and the user will not be able to pay with their card anymore. So that will become invalid card. The card will not be deleted itself, but the validity of it will be invalid. It can be set to valid again. So we have these two functions: revoke card validity and invoke card validity. It takes the card number and invokes and revokes the validity of the card. So I think card number. Okay, this is our card number. So uh, actually, we have received the card number, but the request is already pending. So let's go ahead and process the request. And for to process the request, we have to be as the gas agency. We cannot be user or any other account. We have to be as gas agency. So it is using this modifier only agency to check for if the requesting user is gas agency personnel or not. So proof of card request. This function, as I have already said, will process the request and gives the card to the user. So we have a function get my card number. Let me show you. This get my card number the maps use the mapping address to card number to check if that message dot sender is having a card valid card or not. So not valid or invalid, it, it just checks that if the person who is calling this function, the address associated with that is having a card or not. It does not gives valid or invalid cards. It just gives that card is there or not. I mean, a card was issued to that person or not. And I'm saying person. Actually, I should say address. The card is issued to that address or not. It checks for that. Get my card number. So uh, we already have had one request and we have processed that. So we should be having a card issued with that number. So you can say, so this is the card number associated with Bob with this user. And if I check for gas station, if gas station has a card, as you can see, no, it does not has any card. But second user has the second account address has this card. So now let's pay for our gas fees. So let's say I want to pay with my card number. Let's pay for it. So this function, what it will do is that it will, when pay for gas, okay, pay for gas with card. So it will check if user has the balance. First of all, it will check if the valid card owners are requesting for this, because obviously we don't want any random card owner, like any 12 digit, you can enter a 12 digit number and that will be a card. That should not be the case. So we are using this modifier only valid card owners. And then we are checking that if user has a balance that is greater than discounted amount, because we don't want like, if you want to pay this much, so necessarily you should not, if you're a valid card owner, you just have to have 80% of this, because 20% is already deducted, like you don't have to pay for that. So we are checking that if user has a balance of discounted amount. And what is discounted amount? It is discounted percentage. Let me show you discounted percentage. It is 20%. So users should have 80% of the amount that they want to pay, and 20% is subsidy for them. So this is what it does, pay for gas. And if you see the pay for gas normal function, it just checks for, if user wants to pay the amount 100, they have to have greater than that, they have to have amount greater than their balance. So yeah, so that's it. The user can pay with this card, and I think the transaction has already gone through, so we have paid for that. Hmm. Now if I pay for normally, we have to pay total amount. And yeah, that's it. Now one more thing, uh, let me be the user, the gas agency. So this is the card number. So if the gas agency decides that this card should not be valid anymore, they can just invoke the validity of this card, and the card will not be valid anymore once the transaction goes through. Sorry, sorry. I have actually should actually go with this. Cancel. Anyways, let's go ahead and invoke the card validity of this card. Sorry, revoke card validity. Once the request will be processed, when the transaction goes through, the card will not be valid anymore. And if the user wants to pay with this card again, it will just not be possible, because gas agency has decided that that user should not get subsidy anymore. So once the transaction goes through, I can show you. Um, Okay, so this is the card which was revoked. So this card will not be used anymore for making payment. So if I want to make payment, let me go ahead and use this account. Hmm. As you can see, it does not allow me to make payments because this is not a valid card anymore. Okay. And if I show you execution reverted, okay, remix does not show that error. Actually, we have an error for that. We have not valid card. Card is not valid anymore. Okay. So this is what the contract is doing. It is behaving as a gas agency, and it is offering a cards to users, and the users request for that card, and gas agency approves that card, and then they can get the subsidy. Also, if the gas agency decides to revoke the validity of that card, they can obviously do that, and the card will be still function. The card will be still there. uh, as you can see, the card has not been deleted, but the validity of the card is null now. It is not valid. So thank you everyone.